Hey guys, welcome back to Just a Geek in the Garage. So it looks like Harbor Freight came out with a new Doyle precision screwdriver in the last couple days. I just happened to see in the new tools section that this came out. And one thing that I was pretty excited about is the fact that it came out during their extended parking lot sale, which gave us 35% off of all screwdrivers and pliers, things like that. So today I decided to swing over there and check this thing out. I use a lot of precision screwdriver, so something like this that is a 14-in-1 seemed that would be very, very useful for me. I already have a Klein. It's not exactly the same concept, but something that's not that dissimilar. But one thing before I kind of go on with the review that I was a bit disappointed on was when I got to the register, went to go buy it. Well, first of all, this wasn't on the floor. I asked one of the employees there, and they said, "Oh, it's brand new. It's in the back. Let me go grab one for you," which was great. And they went back and grabbed it for me, very, very quickly. And so I was, grateful for that. But one thing that was a bit disappointing is I got it to the register, and this thing is $11.99 at the retail price. And I figured, hey, $11.99, it's already a good deal, but with 35% off would be a great deal. And I scanned the coupon, and the coupon didn't work. One of the other employees happened to be there, and he was like, "Hey, yeah, I just bought the same screwdriver, and I tried to use the coupon. For some reason, it doesn't work, even though it says 35% off of all screwdrivers, and Doyle is included within that sale." He's like, "I think the SKU is just too new, where the coupon doesn't recognize it." So I was like, you know what? I just bit the bullet, said that's fine. I'll just pay the $11.99 for it since I was already there, but a bit disappointing. I could have saved myself around $4 or so, and this thing at about $8 I think is a steal. But at $11.99 is not a bad little product. So it's actually pretty unique. I have a lot of these reversible shank or reversible blade screwdrivers, both precision and regular ones. And a lot of times what they'll basically do is obviously they have nut drivers that are built into the different sections where the bits go. But this one did it a little bit more uniquely than I've seen in the past. There's other manufacturers that might have done this in the past. I personally haven't seen it because most of the ones that I have are going to be from a company like Klein, basically. So Klein, I have their version of the precision tool where it's a little bit bigger. The handle's a little bit thicker, a little bit longer. Same kind of basic design, as you can kind of see, is definitely borrowed from here. Other than the color, you can see the design elements are very, very similar. But the main difference is instead of this being a reversible shank screwdriver, it's just a fixed blade. And then it has a bunch of bits, in here, which for me is extremely, extremely useful because I work on a lot of little electronics and things like that. So this guy's great. I want to say it was somewhere in the $20 or $25 range, so about twice the price of this guy, but it comes with a bunch more bits. However, one thing to keep in mind is there's not really, other than the this nut driver that's kind of built in for the bits. That's pretty much all that you're getting. So let's talk specifically about the Doyle here for a second. So let me kind of go over the packaging just so you can see what we're talking about. So there's a model number 70707. And then right here is going to kind of go through what you have in here. So you have Phillips 00 and 0 slotted to 3/32 and 1/8 inch. In the Torx, we got a T7, T8, T10, and T15. And then right here are all the different nut drivers that are basically built into this guy. So you got 9/64, you got 5/32, 3/16, 7/32, 1/4 inch, and 5/16. So quite a bit, way more nut drivers than you typically see on something like this. And the way they basically accomplish this, and I thought this was very, very interesting, is, when obviously everything came separated like this. Oops, sorry about that. Everything came separated like this, where you had your four bits up here that are double-sided. You had a couple of the I guess the sub shanks. I don't know what you want to call them, that go in here. The shank itself, and then the screwdriver. So when I went to go put them together, one really, really interesting thing is, let me take this all apart so you guys can kind of see it. So a lot of them do it like this, where you have one size here and one size here, right? But this one, you have 4 more sizes within these as well. So for example, this bit will not fit in any other size. So this one right here will only fit the one that it was designed for, right? Same thing with this guy. If you try to put in any other one, it's going to be either, you know, too loose or it's just not going to fit at all. And same thing with these guys. So that's how you get a total of, what is that, 6 nut drivers instead of just the normal maybe 4 that you would typically see on something like this. So I thought that was interesting. So if you work on a lot of smaller electronics that have a lot of, you know, smaller little bolts or nuts on them, this guy could be, you know, very, very useful. You know, one thing I would love to see, you know, you rarely ever see it with something like this, is having these be metric sizes instead. I think that could be extremely useful, especially when you're working on, you know, little electronics, because a lot of the electronics tend to be metric and not SAE. So just want to do kind of a quick video on this guy of, you know, kind of what I think. You know, Harbor Freight, if you happen to be watching, which I kind of doubt, but if you are, was a bit disappointed that the coupon doesn't work when you guys specified, you know, that it works on all screwdrivers, and Doyle was included within that brand. But again, I'm not going to sit here and, you know, whine and complain over $4. But but overall, I think this is a great little screwdriver. If you guys are looking for something like this, you know, I would swing by. But what I would do is, you know, because this is less than $19.99, I would maybe wait for one of those coupons that they typically do a few times, maybe once or twice a month, I should say, of the 30% off of items $20 or below. So this guy at 30% off, I think would be an excellent deal. So tell me, what do you guys think? Would this be useful for what you guys work on? And what do you think of my suggestion of coming out with one of these that has metric nut drivers versus just the SAE? So, you know, please do that in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.